how well you can look up to the ceiling, down to the floor, to the right, to the left, tilt your left ear to your left shoulder. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of whether he can move his neck. No need to do a muscle test or anything like that. So I want to evaluate this horizontal semicircular canal. Okay? So I'm going to ask my patient to fixate on my nose. Okay? And then I'm not going to tell him which way I'm going to turn his head. But I'm going to say, no matter which way I turn your head, keep your eyes fixed on my nose, no matter which way I turn it. Okay? So, again, if you think about the canals, his horizontal canal is just how my hand is positioned. The posterior canal is here, the horizontal canal is here, the anterior canal is here. In order to tip this canal downward, I have to get it to gravity. So now to gravity, now those hair cells are going to be active, and I can actually test for nystagmus. So I'm going to say, Mark, look at my nose, and I'm going to hold on to your head and neck. And I just take it, I kind of loosen up a little bit, and relax, and look at my nose. And I quickly turned his head to the left, and his eyes kept focused on my nose. So now, I'll do a slow this time. So as I take it, I turn him to the left, look to the board. If his eyes turn to the board and then back to me, that would be what's called a corrective saccade. That's an abnormal finding. Okay? And when I turned his head to the left, which canal am I looking at, left or right?
Right.
No,
Left.
So
Left, right. So because the excitation side is that side. So when I turned it this side, if he correctly turns back to me, that's a weakness or abnormal finding to the left side. And conversely, the same thing to the right. Okay? So a corrective saccade is when they look back to your nose. Okay? And if a person has that, it is consistent. And you want to make sure that someone's not trying to fool you. You have to make sure that it's a valid response. So you might do 2 or 3. And again, the key is, if I do this and I constantly go to the left side, he as the patient is going to pick up to, which way I'm going to go. So he has to be blind in the sense to the movement. You can't cue him out which way you're going to go. If he has consistently tested for the head thrust, the patient will be diagnosed with a unilateral vestibular hypofunction, or UVH, or unilateral vestibular deficit, UVD. Same thing. It's similar. Okay? It's anatomy. It's the same thing. There's another test. This is the gold standard test.
You just do that to the left or to the right? That's just for the lateral canal testing?
Correct. There's something called head shaking induced nystagmus. Patient closes their eyes. Okay, you guys read this, Mark, you don't read it. Okay? So you guys can kind of read what I'm going to do to them.
You lay down one. No, I'm going to
Back up. All right. So again, when you go to like Tampa General, they have 2 docs, Bartels and Danners, who are specialists in this area. You go to anybody who does this repeatedly, they'll have frontal lenses. They'll put the frontal lenses on his head, so that blocks out room light. They will take his head and again put it into that position of 20, 30 degrees, okay? And then you will close your eyes, okay? So when I get done and you open your eyes, again, I want you to look right at my nose, okay? So my job is to make sure that I can go 2 hertz. So it's going pretty fast. And his eyes are perfect. Look right at me. There's no nystagmus that you can see. Now, when the nystagmus is blocked out with room light, it's not an absolute. It doesn't happen 100% of the time. So you can sometimes with your own eyes see, with your naked eyes, you can see the nystagmus movement. You You have to look close because it's subtle. And sometimes it will only last 15 to 20 seconds. So if you don't know what to look for, if you miss it, it'll be gone. So, but that's called head shaking induced nystagmus.
I'm done.
For now.